Everyone. This is Pradeep Goel with Solvecare, and it is a great pleasure to be back with everyone after a little bit of a break. It's been several weeks since we last talked, so there is a lot to discuss, and there are a lot of questions that I'm going to try to answer today at the end of this presentation. So, two-part discussion, a update from the company as we always do, and then a AMA questions that have been gathered over the last few weeks. So let's get started. It's good to have everyone here with us today, and do feel free to share this video with others who cannot attend today. So thanks again for joining, and let's get started. Today we are going to cover three topics. The first topic is about next slide please. So three topics we're going to cover today is the 2020, what is our plans for the year, what we are focused on, what our strategy is to achieve them, how our business development pipeline is going, and then if time permits, I'll also give you some additional updates on areas that are important and related to our overall business and other initiatives. So first, 2019 was a year where we invested a lot of time and money in designing and building the care networks for the B2B market. And as many of you may remember, we have developed three key networks last year. The Provider Reward Program, which is part of our value-based care model, our non-emergency medical transportation network, and our diabetes care network. And they got increasingly more complex. The PRP was the first network we built in close partnership with ACN. Then we built a much more complex network with partnership with Lyft and Uber on the NEMT. And then the biggest of them all, the diabetes care network that we built in collaboration with Boehringer Ingelheim. I'm very pleased to say that these three networks are now ready and are in various stages of sales and delivery cycles. The most significant is that we have resellers and partners who are actively reselling these networks to various clients around the world. And while we initially thought these networks would serve a population in a certain country, we quickly found that our networks are highly relevant in other countries as well. So that has led to the expansion of Solvecare into Asia, and we are very excited about the prospects of seeing these networks adopted by more B2B clients than we had even at the end of 2019. So quite a bit of progress in terms of the productization of these networks, and the pricing of these networks has been set up such that now resellers are highly incentivized to take these networks to market, in addition to the Solvecare sales team, which I will talk about in a couple of minutes. So let's talk a little bit about Diabetes Care Network. Many of you remember this as one of our key signature projects for 2019. And this network is built in collaboration with and under the sponsorship of Boehringer Ingelheim, BI, as we refer to them in short. And BI has now taken the delivery of this network, if you will. We have finished the network build, and they are working with Arizona Care Network to launch this in the population of physicians and patients. So that collaboration between BI and ACN is almost finished, and they will be able to launch the DCAN in their target audience. But ACN is not the only place where DCAN is going. There are many other accountable care organizations and even payer organizations who have expressed interest in DCAN both in the US and in Asia. So we are collaborating with Boehringer Ingelheim to look for every other opportunity that makes sense for the launch of DCAN for a different set of patients and a different set of physicians. So very exciting. I want to say that a few things, some lessons learned I want to share with you. We thought DCAN would take a lot less time than it did, and we thought it would be a lot more complex, a lot more simpler than it was. It was quite a bit more complex and quite a bit more difficult to overcome the challenges. But end of the day, I'm very proud of what the team has built. The key elements of Diabetes Care Network, which is the patient-centric care delivery, the autonomy of the patient, the ability of the patient to build care circles with their loved ones, independent of which physician or which insurance company they have, the ability of the physician to truly stay in touch with the patient through "How are you feeling today" card, everything came together. I mean, it's fantastic to see the network deliver on the full promise of all our key themes, which is patient-centric, patient sovereignty, provider-patient coordination, provider-payer coordination, patient-provider coordination. This triangle is the most difficult triangle in healthcare anywhere to coordinate on, and we were able to demonstrate and build a really compelling product around a very specific disease that demonstrates that proper coordinated care can save lives and save a ton of money. And that is the holy grail. So we're very excited about the Diabetes Care Network readiness to launch and the journey that it took for us to get there. And along the way, the platform matured as well. Right? The platform got a lot stronger because the DCAN challenged us to stretch the platform, and we found it to be an excellent way to invest into the right areas of the platform and make it stronger. So launching the next network, whether it's for asthma or for cancer or pregnancy care, is a lot easier because we have already done the heavy lift with Diabetes Care Network. As part of the growth strategy for 2020, we are very clear about where we're going. So one of the key objectives was to make sure that all our networks are available to the target audience so they can pick and choose. So right now, with Dr. Hannekam coming on board to SolveCare and running the North American sales team and business development team, we are targeting the accountable care organizations, both NextGen, which is Medicaid, and Medicare. So the objective here is to deliver highly pointed value proposition to accountable care organizations who work with physicians and patients to deliver better care, and to start giving them access to our DCAN and other technologies and other care networks. So this approach has a very focused, very intentional B2B strategy when it comes to North America, and a similar but different strategies in play in Asia Pacific, where we are focused on the employer market as a key market to launch our platform on and our care networks on. And there, the partnerships and business development pipeline is focused on benefit brokers, TPAs, and employers who can truly benefit from the launch of coordinated care management for their employees. So we'll more on that in a bit. Okay, one other big area that we have making a significant investment in, but I'll actually step back and talk about this, is the B2C capability of the Care Wallet. So we believe that our 2019 investment in the B2B space has laid the foundation for significant growth in 2020. And almost all our revenue for 2020 is coming from the B2B clients. And it is significantly higher revenue than 2019. We set a target for 2019 and we met that target. We exceeded it by a slight amount, which is great because you always want to make sure that you do not miss your targets. But in 2020, while we are looking at a significant growth coming from the B2B space, we believe it is the right time for us to start laying the foundation for our B2C networks. So what I mean by B2C networks is networks that are built for the consumer who does not have an affiliate sponsor, who does not have insurance plan, or does not have a government supplied coverage for everything, and are not in a situation where the employer can sponsor a network for them. So we are looking at a direct-to-consumer care network capability that in the Care Wallet is accessible to anyone with a Care Wallet. Depending on the region they live in, they can access the right care networks which are sponsored by SolveCare, if you will, or SolveCare partners who are not limited to insurance companies or employers or TPAs or ACOs. And the objective here is quite simple, but it's quite challenging. To make the Care Wallet highly relevant to the average consumer, to make the Solve token the mechanism through which they can buy services and products in the Care Wallet that they would either not be able to buy at all, or they'll be able to buy much easier and preferably at a lower cost in the Care Wallet using the Solve token as the payment vehicle. And or they can coordinate their care out in addition to whatever B2B network they are part of. They can create their own care circle with their loved ones and their family members and coordinate their care as a human being. So our vision now is that the B2B networks and the B2C networks can coexist and can drive complementary value. I don't need to be in one or the other. I can be a participant in a B2B network like Diabetes Care Network sponsored by my employer, but I can also choose to be part of a B2C network that I like, that gives me additional tools and capabilities that are relevant to my family or to myself. So this convergence of B2B and B2C in the same wallet would be a first anywhere. There is no application we know of on the planet where that today allows you to work with your insurance company sponsored benefits or your hospital sponsored benefits and also have within the same ecosystem, with the same application Care Wallet, have voluntary and complete discretionary access to networks that I choose to participate in. Those are not sponsored for me, that I join. And that convergence creates an optimal patient experience of the kind that has never been built. So we are very excited about the prospects of what the Care Wallet's access to both B2B and B2C networks in the hands of a patient and the choice of the patient, what that means and what it can do. Now, one of the key areas that we feel could really help people who don't have access to quality care through an employer or an insurer or a government agency is telemedicine capability. So we have been exploring for the last several months how to inject a telemedicine care card in the Care Wallet, similar to how we have a Care Coin or a Care Vault or a Care Ledger care card. And the idea is that I, depending upon where I live, can access the right telemedicine network, but the telemedicine capability in the wallet is always present. It's a matter of which network offers me the ability to pay or receive teleconsult. So this telemedicine care card in the Care Wallet we see as a core capability, which we are starting to now build through an integration. It is not our intention to build this from scratch. There are companies that have expertise and experience and knowledge of how effective telemedicine should work, a teleconsult should work. So we are working with a key partner of ours to finalize the terms and conditions of integrating their telemedicine solution into the Care Wallet as a standard care card. And the objective is that based on where you live, you can either access a specific clinical consultation group or you can access a global clinical consultation group. But now suddenly you have a choice as a patient of choosing which type of physician under what clinical network you wish to consult with. And in terms of, as a parent taking care of a sick child, that ability to reach out and speak to a consult with a highly trained pediatrician who might be specializing in a certain area that my child suffers from becomes a choice that would not be otherwise available to me. And of course, all of this is driven by the Care Wallet, and the payment for all the telemedicine services would be made in the Solve token. So Dr. Hanekom is a Chief Medical Officer because he plays two roles as the Regional President of North America and as a CMO, Chief Medical Officer. So as the Chief Medical Officer, he's taken on the lead in both the functionality of the telemedicine care card as well as the partnerships with the back-end clinical consultation networks, which are the ones who actually provide the access to the physician. So we are looking at that as a significant value both to the B2B networks and to the B2C networks, and is in our upcoming Care Wallet roadmap. Next slide, please. So as part of our B2C strategy, one of the things that we have to do also, which is in our 2020 plan, is to allow people to buy Solve tokens right within the Care Wallet. The more utility we add to the Solve token, the more availability of Solve token we have to also deal with. So the objective here is that regardless of where you live, whether you are a highly educated parent or if you are a rural dweller with an agricultural background, it doesn't really matter. We need to make sure that there is a reasonable way for you to buy Solve token in the wallet. So one of the key areas of focus as part of the B2C strategy is to use a switching capability where the right supplier of tokens as a crypto asset, whether it is a known exchange or it's a local exchange or a global exchange, that switching capability is what we are introducing into the Care Wallet. And the objective here is that the Solve token can be much more easily purchased, either because you know which exchange to go buy it from and you can buy it there and deposit it in the Care Wallet. That's certainly true for most people who are crypto savvy. But if you're not crypto savvy, then you should be able to do this transaction much more simply within the Care Wallet and not have to deal with the exchange setup and KYC and all those things, because the Care Wallet already knows who you are. And therefore, we can facilitate a much simpler, much more consumer-friendly transaction. And this is a key focus of ours. We believe that this functionality and telemedicine functionality go hand in hand because they need to be easy. The consumer, my mom, who is not going to go into Bittrex and create an account and likely to spend her time to understand how that works, or Upbit or anybody else for that matter, needs to be able to go into the Care Wallet and buy Solve tokens. And the wallet has to be able to guide her to saying, we are placing the order for you in these exchanges and wherever it gets filled the best, and so on. So the ability to do automated buying on behalf of the consumer by leveraging the right backend platform is a key element, which then also brings us to, we need to support more and more platforms. So we understand that for consumer to have the most efficient access to Solve token, we also need to have more exchanges, more trading platforms connected into the Solve Care Wallet so that we can allow for easy purchase of token from the wallet. So this is what our team is currently exploring, both in terms of partnerships as well as in terms of technology and trading automation systems that allows us to give the consumer the best, the most transparent, and the simplest mechanism to buy Solve tokens in the market. That combined with telemedicine consult card and a B2C care networks, which do not require you to be sponsored, are the three pillars on which we are basing our B2C investment strategy. And we are not counting on any B2C revenue this year, although we expect it. We're not counting on it. We are counting on this to be the year where we get the B2C foundation in place so we can get significant growth for B2C coming next year. Same as how we invested in B2B last year, and we are seeing significant growth from that this year. Let's get ready so that we can be a meaningfully large supplier of healthcare services to people around the world through our B2C networks. So to achieve this, I am pleased to say that we have done a very thorough planning process. So I already covered the plan for B2C. It's to launch between 1 to 3 B2C networks this year, which have multiple languages and not just English. As part of that strategy, we have just finished building out a new generation of the tile library. I talked about buying Solve tokens in the Care Wallet, and we have also looked at and are pursuing a regulatory license for us to have crypto capabilities in the wallet to be ultra safe. We want to make sure that we are operating with as many and as appropriate regulatory licenses so our wallet can be the gateway to multiple exchanges behind the scenes. Let me go back a little bit to the 2020 plans because I want to spend a bit more time on this. So on the 2020 plan, I've spent the last 2.5 months working very closely with the new executive team. So we have Dr. Hanekom, we have Jason Daney, we have Eleanor in Asia now as a senior business development executive. And we just recently added Sandra to our team, and she is now taken over all HR and operations. More about Sandra in a minute. But the key objective is that we have created 6 key priorities for 2020. And one of them is, I already mentioned to you, the B2C networks. The other area is B2B, and then we have tracks around human capital management and development, and we have a track around organizational scalability, so we can deliver more networks this year, faster, cheaper than we delivered last year. So these 6 tracks that we have published were published to the whole executive team late 2019, early 2020, and then they were asked to go and produce detailed plans around what they need to do in each of their departments to meet these 6 objectives. So it's management by objectives. And that planning process is called Tier 2 plan. So Tier 1 is what and why we have to do, and Tier 2 is how and when we're going to do it. And I'm very pleased to see the overall leadership team come together, work together, collaborate, challenge each other, and ultimately support each other in making sure that we have the right strategy, the right plan, the right tactics, and the right follow-up, right execution, and the right measurements. So it is very good to see the executive team step up and take ownership of these tracks. So I only own 1 out of the 6 tracks. The other tracks are owned by other execs, which is great. And what we are doing now is we are in the process of rolling out those detailed plans to our whole team. So every manager and then every team under the manager is familiar with and understands not only what we are doing, why we are doing it, who's responsible, when they're going to get it done, and what are the measurements on which we can track our progress. So 2020 planning is a lot better than 2019 and certainly a lot better than 2018. And each year it gets more of a joy to do this kind of planning. Because as you know that we are a think, plan, do, and repeat. So the idea is here that you want to leave room for surprises, but you don't want to have a organization that is purely opportunistic. You want to have an organization that can take advantage of opportunity, but by and large has a clear path on which it's walking. And then when opportunities arise, you can evaluate them against your plan and either adjust them or simply absorb the opportunity into your plans. So that's how I've been trying to get the organization to mature too, and I certainly see tremendous maturity develop in the organization over the last 2 years. So with that, I want to come to Sandra, who has relocated to Kiev from Belgium. She brings enormous experience in HR and operations. And she has now come in and moved herself to Kiev, and she's here full time. And her function is to run the human resource and the back office operations of the company. We're very delighted, we're very excited and grateful to have her here. Certainly has added tremendous value in the short 3 months she's been with us, and has been participating in and owns several of the tier 2 planning and execution tracks. So now let's move to where are we with a B2B target? Because B2C, as I said to you, is very exciting this year. We expect to see at least 1, if not 2 care networks launched around non-sponsored open care networks that do not require people to have to go through an insurance company or an employer or a government agency. And I think that will drive significant adoption of Care Wallet and Solve Token utility, no doubt. But revenue for 2020 must come from known sources. So our focus continues to be that Jason and Dr. Hannekam continue to drive our B2B strategy in terms of selling our existing care networks and future care networks to the B2B market. So in Asia, we are focused on the third-party administrators / benefit administrators who serve employers. We are developing relationships with other pharma outside of our relationship with Boehringer in other disease modalities and other disease conditions that need complex coordination. We see significant opportunity and interest from clinic networks who want to use our platform to drive better care coordination and who also want to give the patient better choices. And we are also certainly looking at health insurers, but this is the order of priority in which we are attacking our B2B space. And our view is that majority of our revenue will come from the first 2, and the remaining 2 categories will be opportunistic. Similarly, on the North American side, the first 3 areas, ACOs, TPA employers, and pharma, are driving most of our revenue in 2020. And hospitals, clinics, and health insurers are also in North America, similar to Asia, in that there are lots of them in conversations, and we will accept carefully those we can serve well. But our total revenue plan, which is broken out 50-50 Asia and North America, between Dr. Hannekam and Jason Daney, is to meet our revenue targets from these 2 markets, from these 2 subsegments. The pipeline is constantly evolving. Obviously, we see with Eleanor coming in, our pipeline move into a next level of maturity. Dr. Hannekam is also looking to hire in North America in the next 2 to 3 days, senior executives who will help move his ACO TPA pharma strategy forward. So while he's driving a lot of this himself in North America, and Jason and Eleanor are driving it in Asia. The highly talented people that Hanekom is able to bring to us from his past experience, and Jason has already brought to us in Asia, really drives our pipeline forward. So despite the current economic and human travel, political and emotional challenge we're all going through with the pandemic, I see that as a delay, but I do not think that our message and our value proposition is harmed in the midterm. And if anything, we actually become more attractive, because it's becoming clear to insurers that when a pandemic like coronavirus breaks out, they need better tools. They can't just look back at claims 90 days backwards and hope to manage costs or to even be effective in providing proper benefits. So the realization of this is that you need more effective care coordination, you need more patient engagement, and you most definitely need to be more in sync with your physician and the way they treat the patients and how they treat them. And this is the core value of SolveCare. So we have had significant delays in contracts, obviously from entities that were looking to move forward and sign contracts in Q1 and wanted us to launch networks in Q2. We will obviously see a shift, at least by a quarter. But overall, all this is doing is proving our point that it takes a village to cure a patient. You need the family, you need the physician, you need the specialty care, you need the transportation, you need the employer, the HR, human resource team where you work, and you certainly need the insurer / government who's writing most of these checks for healthcare to have a framework on which effective care protocols can be implemented. So while we are focused today on chronic diseases like diabetes, it's not that difficult to take that model and apply it to public epidemics like what we are seeing with coronavirus. So we are not excited about the fact that everybody is suffering, and we certainly wish everyone to be healthy and to recover well and not get sick at all. But we also see this as a way to convert into greater adoption from those parties who might have taken extra few years to come around. I think we're going to see increased awareness and a much higher relevance of our message to that audience, to the B2B audience. So that's a quick update on the business development and on the B2C market. So let me summarize here before we jump into a couple other items, and then I'll move to the AMA. So the key message I want to give you is 2019, we set the targets, we met the targets financially and in terms of building and launching networks. We had to grow up a lot, both as a company and as a product. And that was not an easy period. We learned a lot, we did a lot, we grew a lot. And we are proud of what was accomplished. But the foundation that was laid in 2019 leads to meaningful growth in 2020 from the B2B sector. And similarly, but very importantly, we now see 2020 as in parallel to the growth year, it's also a year of expansion into the consumer space, where the Care Wallet will get positioned, in addition to having the B2B networks to connect to through a sponsorship model, through an invitation code, the voluntary choice of choosing a network that you want to join and consume services of the network and pay for it using Solve Token. That's the next big area of investment, laying the foundation for a different scale of growth as that strategy gets rolled out. So they have to run in parallel. We cannot say, well, we will do B2B only or B2C only. We must run them in parallel, because B2B pays the bills and is a major growth area for us for the next 10 years, 20 years. But we need to supplement that with a different kind of a profile of Solve Care Token and Solve Care Wallet being in the hands of hundreds of millions of people. But that will come faster if we merge the B2B network access with B2C network access in the same Care Wallet. So that's a summary of our strategy. The last thing that I want to say is I'm very proud of what the team did. Hiobi and Solve worked together to do a coronavirus related campaign, and our Solve community contributor tokens, so did Hiobi community contributor tokens, And we basically raised somewhere north of 20,000 US dollars worth of tokens that are being delivered to Project Hope. So this is a very successful effort, because many such initiatives might raise a few hundred to a few $1,000s, but I think our team did very well. And I want to thank all of you in the community who joined us, who supported us, who encouraged us, who provided us additional guidance so that this could be a successful project. It is important that we not just talk the talk, but we also walk the walk. And this was our first true initiative to leverage a SolveCare platform to drive engagement of the community in healthcare projects. This is very important from a human perspective anyway. So all in all, we're very pleased with these results, and we've learned a lot from this. So if we don't have to run another project like this, our team certainly feels well equipped to do an even better job. So now let's move to before we move forward to the AMA, I want to take a minute and I want all of you to take a look at this video, which is our team going, after we finished building the big release of DCAN, and after many, many months of no weekends and working 16-hour days for everyone, I took the entire organization on a break over the weekend. And I want to show you a little video because I'm so very proud of this team and the energy and the enthusiasm and the effort they bring to the organization and to our mission and the impact they're having on so many people's lives already. But watch them in action, a short clip, 15 seconds, a video that our team prepared from the experience of this team when they were in Lviv for a corporate breakout. So please go ahead and play the video.
It's all in my feet, I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off it, moving so phenomenally. Come on, like the way we rock it, so don't stop. And under the light,
flavor of how even when we are at break, our team is working hard to build something new. And this was a little team building exercise where we all had to build this incredibly complex structure about 60 feet long, and different teams built their part, and then we connected the structure all together, and the end result was you could raise a flag by literally rolling a little ball down a slope, and then the whole chain reaction began. It was a great experience. We spent 3 days with the whole team doing team building and just spending time getting to know each other. We flew in Dr. Hanakam, Jason, Eleanor from Singapore, from US. We brought in our team from Mexico, from Korea. It was brilliant. So I'm very proud of the team, what they do. They work really, really hard. And I am excited that the team building efforts like this are not just sitting in a room and listening to a lecture, but where people really bond and they connect and they forge lifelong friendships that will survive any kind of an employment or personal life events that they'll go through. So it's very nice to see the team develop each single day. Let's move forward to the questions so that we don't run out of time. I have a series of questions that my team has handed me, and they're not in any particular order. So I'm just going to go down the list and give you answers. So the first one is, what is the status of the equity update? And this is a very meaningful question because I was going to present that as part of the presentation, but then I was told is part of the AMA, so please answer it there. So here we go. So on the equity update, we certainly have right now a significant slowdown in terms of getting to a final contract or a final agreement. Where we are fundamentally is that we have come to realize through this process that we need to have a strategic investor as a primary choice. And whether they bring in financial investors as tag along is fine, but our time horizon, our mission, our vision around SolveCare is clearly going to require not just capital, but smart capital. So when we looked at various term sheets and what their underlying expectations were for the term sheets, I came to the fundamental conclusion that the timelines that they're looking for is 2 to 3 years, build, exit. And our time horizon is much longer. We're not looking here to build and exit. We're looking here to build and build and build and grow and grow and grow. So clearly what the people that we found most compelling and who found us most compelling were investor users, clients who see us as an investment opportunity but also see our platform as a significant opportunity for their business. And that's where we are focused on right now. So it's mostly insurance companies and pharma who we are looking at and talking to and discussing further. But they are clearly, everybody, we included, are somewhat distracted by managing the impact of coronavirus. So I do think we're going to see 60 to 90 day delay before everybody gets back to work. And hopefully that's the case. So we are delayed on the equity side, but we're not dismayed. I'm perfectly comfortable with the decisions we have made to focus on this narrow segment of strategic investors. And I'm comfortable if the equity takes a little bit longer. We were not counting on that as our 2020 execution plan, but we certainly want to get it done so that it becomes extra fuel in the tank so we can grow faster. One thing that I did do as a result of equity deal not being done is I delayed the acquisition, because it seems to me that the acquisition should occur when we have the equity player on the table. One, for simple reason, they can help us do proper due diligence, they can help us evaluate the overall ROI of the acquisition, and they can also make sure that we can integrate the acquisition properly, giving us advice when we need it. And I don't want to burn operational dollars on acquisition. So when the equity round got delayed, we also said, okay, the acquisition has to sync up with the equity round, not before, not after. So that's where we are on both the equity and the acquisition. The second question here is, how many clients or contracts do you have in the pipeline for signing? Now, I won't give you an exact number, because one, it changes. Second, is probably competitive information we shouldn't be putting out there. But what I will say is that both Jason and Dr. Hannekam have a clear revenue target, which is significantly higher than 2019. They know it. They understand their share of the revenue overall, and they know how to get it. So the objective here is to look at clients in the pipeline by quarter and to see when the revenue will be recognized from each client. So we end up at the end of 2020 with our revenue target attained. So, and I'm not going to accept a plan where all the revenue will come in fourth quarter, because we all know that's never the case and never works that way. So it is a plan that they have prepared, they are executing on. And yes, they have different types of pipelines. So in Asia, there are some very large client contracts that Jason and Eleanor are pursuing, and there are some reseller partnerships that they're very excited about. And then there are smaller partnerships that are strategic but not so big in revenue. And same is the case with Dr. Hannekam. He has opportunities in US, Canada, Mexico, and he's looking at all of them and deciding which one he wants to sign. Because at the end of the day, we must also deliver. So I'm not overly concerned about the 2020 revenue as we stand today. I am actually quite confident that we will meet and beat it. However, the exact client signing, I think it would be premature to start projecting signatures till we have the clients back at work and having sort of retreated from this, the coronavirus driven, let's stop everything and let's go back and put everything on hold. Again, I don't think this to be a significant impact on our overall revenue plan. If anything, this should actually help us. But having said that, I'm comfortable with the 2020 plan, and I'm comfortable these two leaders in Asia Pacific and North America fully understand their objective, their mission. They have a good strategy and they have a good team to execute, and they know which market they're selling to. Is there an update on ACN and how the customers think about SolveCare? So ACN is clearly working right now very closely with BI to launch the DCAN to their broader audience. We are waiting for the two of them to reach a final agreement as to how the outreach campaign, communication, KPIs, and all that will be established. That's between them. We will support whatever plan they come up with. But we're very excited about the fact that the two organizations are working together to launch DCAN in their market. As far as the PRP is concerned, that's primarily a physician-only network. It is focused on payments to physicians, and that has been adopted by physicians 18 months ago. But really, DCAN is where the consumer, patient, family members get engaged, and that's the more exciting metric for us to track. So we expect that in the next few days, ACN and BI will agree upon their network parameters, adoption, outreach, communication, campaign, and from there we will see clear progress towards these milestones. So we'll keep you informed. Is there a focus on Europe at the moment? No, there isn't. Europe is opportunistic for us, and we see Europe as a partnership-driven model, same as Middle East. We made a very clear decision that Asia Pacific and US represent the two centers of gravity from healthcare cost perspective. It's not that we're not relevant in Asia, relevant in Europe or in Middle East. Of course we are. But we need to make sure that we have a clear line of sight into revenue, and we know where the revenue is and who is going to pursue it. So APAC and US, we are going combination of direct and reseller. But Europe and Middle East, it's only reseller. We are not going to go direct there. And that's just logical, because we would rather build a network of resellers around the world than to build sales teams around the world. And that's where we are. So Europe is not a direct focus of our sales team. It's more of a focus of our partnerships opportunity and the partnership management. The next question is, how is the current market liquidity going to be addressed? I think this question refers to how many exchanges this token is available on and how to make sure there's enough liquidity in the market. So this is a delicate question because we are clearly focused on making sure that Solve is easily accessible through the Care Wallet, no matter where you live, no matter what jurisdiction you are in. As long as it is allowed for you to have a digital asset, Solve should be easy to acquire through your Care Wallet. And I've covered that quite a bit. But the bottom line is the liquidity of Solve token is a function of having more trading platforms where there is enough liquid supply of Solve token. And we have a clear plan on expanding the number of trading platforms we support and integrating with them. Not just putting Solve on 5 more trading platforms, but actually allowing the Care Wallet user to buy and sell Solve tokens through the Care Wallet. And that's the key element, the 3-legged approach to the B2C network that I talked about. Are you going to any global conferences? The answer was we were planning to go to several, but we are not going to any at this point in time. I have put together we put together a team, a task force that is working on managing the risk of coronavirus to our team worldwide. And one of the first things we did is said minimize travel, work remotely, and do not get on a plane unless absolutely essential. Many of the conferences we're planning to attend or speak at are getting delayed and pushed out, which is logical. And we certainly wouldn't want to be a healthcare company and act irresponsibly in terms of health of our employees. So at this point in time, my expectation is that most every conference that we were planning to visit is going to get rescheduled to second half of the year. And that's fine. We will continue to stay focused on our execution plan, and we will come back to the attendance model of conferences when these conferences are back in the swing. And even if we were to go to a conference in the near future, my guess is the attendance will be quite low. So we want to be wise with our money and make sure that we spend where it actually produces ROI for us. How has the staking process gone so far? The staking process has gone very well. I had certain objectives in launching the staking program. And the biggest objective I had was to get the community engaged. Different levels of community, physicians, integrators, developers, and not just those who have Solve token today and want to see more utility for it, but also those who wish to help us build our platform, launch more networks. And we have published more than 20 projects through the staking portal, and we have at least half as many more. And every single day there is, as needs arise, we evaluate if this makes sense to be a project on the staking program. I know that over the 20 projects that were put out there on the staking portal, over 2 million tokens were staked, which is good, but we learned from all that. We learned how to demand higher quality of proposal, how to increase the transparency of what you're bidding on. So there is definitely an evolution happening. But overall, we see that the community does understand the concept that when you want to work on the SolveCare platform, you have to commit to being part of the SolveCare ecosystem. It's not just about whether you can write code, it's also about, do you understand the philosophy of the Care Wallet, the Solve token? Do you understand the economic model behind Solve token? And are you willing to invest into the ecosystem so everybody is gaining value? And of course, we'll pay you for your project. We're not asking you to do work for free, but we expect you to be fully conversant with Care Wallet, Solve token, Care Networks, and need to understand that your care cards have very meaningful impact on the lives of patients and providers. So there is a staking element which tells us that you have at least gone through the trouble of understanding, acquiring, and depositing Solve tokens in a staking wallet. So you are not completely oblivious to our ecosystem and what we are trying to build here. So it's going well. I think we will improve and enhance and extend it this year because our needs are growing and we have quite a bit of work to do where we could certainly use the community's help. So I'll repeat my previous sentiment here. Community is more than welcome, highly encouraged to participate in any and all projects and or to refer people you know who can do a quality job to join the ecosystem and become developers, resellers, integrators, designers of the care networks and care wallets and care cards. The next question is, what are the biggest operational hurdles right now? How are they being tackled? So it always boils down to the team. I mean, every company is going to have operational issues. It doesn't matter. I've been in small companies, big companies, mega companies. You're always going to have operational issues that are appropriate for the size of the company you are. And sometimes they are challenging. So in my mind, I really don't see any operational issue that I haven't dealt with before or my team hasn't seen before. Between me and Dr. Hannekam and Jason, I don't think we have encountered one issue that we said, oh, we didn't know how to deal with that. So really it boils down to building the management team. And we've done, I think, a really good job. The executive team has done a good job of bringing in talented managers under them. But if there is one thing that I want to see done by end of this year, I want to see the management layer strengthened, both organically and externally brought in, that can help us accelerate our care network launch and our sales pipeline execution and the ability to maintain good relationships with the client. And we are focused on those areas. So nothing that is unusual or extraordinary. At the same time, business is never dull. You always have a challenge every day. But I'm not seeing any one issue that troubles me. But I think we're making progress in every area that I have set. And the tier 2 planning is very detailed. It gets into even things like, how frequently will we update the equipment? Is it an 18-month or a 24-month cycle of refresh? And how will we make sure that we are prioritizing the right people who need the most fastest equipment because their job demands? If you're a coder and you're developing, complex algorithms, we want to make sure that you have the fastest algorithm crunching machine in front of you, because wasting your time on a slow equipment is not good for anyone. So that kind of detail is in the tier 2 plan. So my answer in short is, when I look at the operational maturity of the team and look at more importantly or equally importantly, the maturity of the plan, I am less and less concerned that we're going to hit some kind of a unexpected issue. But we also always have to be mindful. The world will not play out the way we expect it to. There will be surprises. So we need to have some reserve capacity and reserves to deal with shocks, and they will come. Whether it's a coronavirus today and some kind of a stock market crash tomorrow or whatever it might be, we have to be ready for all those macroeconomic and geopolitical issues as best as we can be. So I always tell my team every week, what can go wrong that can take us off course? What is it that we need to do to at least be ready for the downside? And we do talk about that on a regular basis. And whenever possible, we start planning and executing on it. The next question is, how are networks expected to set up when they start? Are the care wallets created upfront or the wallets created on an ongoing basis? Great question. The answer is yes to both. So in case of the PRP program, for example, all the nodes were pre-created, all the physician data was loaded on their nodes, and all the wallets were essentially pre-activated, and all the physician had to do was to download the care wallet, use their invitation code, connect to the right backend, and they would then receive their appropriate data blocks and care cards, and the net wallet would sync with the blockchain, and then you're done. So in that regard, every physician is always green on the network. Nobody is ever offline, even if they haven't yet activated the wallet. On the diabetes care network, it's a combination. I think about 4,000 patients are preloaded and pre-activated, and another 1,000 are going on demand, first come, first serve. And after the first 5,000, then the additional wallet nodes are created by the care network administrator. So different models. It depends on how the care network sponsor wants to configure it. But we can allow for either pre-loaded net nodes, or we can allow for nodes on demand. and it depends on the client and the contract. The next question is, given the staked tokens are locked, will SolveCare protect against the volatility of the token? No, we will not. We are not going to hedge or protect the staking program from token volatility. The whole idea is that it's a collective effort that lifts the utility of the token, that drives the overall value of the token. So we all increase the utility by building better cards, better networks, better endpoints, better care protocols, and we drive more adoption collectively, and that lifts the value of the token. So it's a long-term view of community helps drive global adoption, and that drives the value of Care Wallet and adoption of Solve token. So we're not going to insulate the community from those ups and downs. It's not our function, but we do see that the long-term trajectory of this collective effort is to be the dominant healthcare coin in the world, to be the token that is a de facto network currency, service access tool, as well as platform entry ticket. So the utility of Solve token, we are continuously enhancing, and we are looking for the community to help us enhance it. But in terms of the short-term ups and downs of the token, we don't particularly concern ourselves with that, because this is a collective journey. We should all be marching towards that, not 2-3 months long, but multi-year. And we all want to end up at a point where this is the default token used in any kind of benefit coordination, care coordination, or payment coordination scenario in healthcare. And this isn't a what can you do tomorrow to get this token wallet cards in such that I can have a significant increase in the token value. We don't play that. That's not our view. Our view is we are making meaningful impact. We've already done a lot in the last 2.5 years. We're going to do a lot more in the next 2.5 years, and that is going to manifest into significant value for everyone, including the token holder. Let's move to the next question. Will SolveCare publish the roadmap for 2020 and provide some transparency on that? It's a good suggestion. I am happy to do that. My only concern always is that this information in the hands of competitors gives them the ability to claim things that they don't know how to do or have not thought about and make it their own. So I don't think that anybody wants to empower competitors unduly and unfairly. So my view is that we will provide you these monthly, quarterly updates that I do for you, where I'll tell you what we have accomplished. Because by the time we announce it, it's already done. And now if somebody wants to copy us, they have a long road ahead of them. Instead of announcing the roadmap, so if somebody can anticipate what we are investing in and what we are building in Q3 and go out there to market and start claiming they've already done it, or to pivot to that functionality and try to outrun us. So I'm comfortable with updates. I'm comfortable with giving you a regular update on the roadmap, but I don't want to publish our future IP and give everybody a chance to compete or to copy us. What are the 3 things that keep me awake at night? Well, the 3 things that keep me regarding Solve. Okay, so if we look at 3 things that keep me awake at night regarding SolveCare, I think it's really only one thing. I am only going to be as successful as the team around me. So to me, is whether it is the executive layer or the management layer, we need to be, I need to make sure that I have the right people who are in the right chair, able to do what we need to get done. And we are by no means a cruise ship. We are a rocket ship, which means it takes a certain kind of person to withstand the G-forces we put on them. It is not a place where you come to for a 9-to-5 job, and it's really not a job. It's a career and it's a mission. So we continuously look for people who we can bring into the organization that share our vision and our work ethic and the commitment to making this thing real for millions of people around the world. So my number one concern always is, where are the weak points in my organization where I am perhaps not getting the right value, both in terms of the product or the function, but really more also from their commitment and their attitude of the employee towards the company. And that's a constant evolution. So this is why I'm so excited to have Sandra with us, because she's an excellent human resource expert who is aligned with our thinking and is really bringing in a much more rigor to recruiting. And our philosophy has always been that it's a privilege to be at SolveCare. You have to earn the right to be here. And she's really enforcing that in our recruiting process, where we are demanding a much higher and much more rigorous recruiting model. And yes, we expect that only top 1/10 of 1% will pass the gates and will be welcomed into the team, but then they are the ones we want. So it's very much about the not just what you know, but how you approach and what you value and what your values are. Those are important criteria, and that's what I worry about. I worry about the fact that as we grow and grow and grow, we will fall into the trap of having grown too quickly and losing our mission, our vision, our philosophy, our culture, and you have to invest in that every day. And that starts by making sure the right people are in your team. That's the first and foremost. And as a CEO, I need to make sure that we maintain and implement processes that will maintain that culture and allow us to scale. Others have done it clearly and done it very well, and that is what we need to emulate. So that's my number one, no, I wouldn't say a concern, but an objective to manage the growth of SolveCare. The other two would be to make sure we grow properly. Growth can be very seductive, it can be very charming. You can feel very good about it till you realize that you're growing in a manner that is not sustainable. Whether that is sustainability of the product or the delivery or the revenue or the profitability or the customer retention. Growth should not be just for the sake of growth, it should be sustainable growth. So growing right, not just growing. And the third is to running fast enough to outrun and sooner or later there'll be people who will copy us, who will emulate us. They might even improve upon our ideas, but we must not sit comfortable in our space thinking that we invented this space so nobody else can copy us. They will. So we need to be the one that is the most efficient and effective. A lot of people have great ideas, right? Many of us have had amazing ideas but never really did anything about them. And then somebody else does it really well and we go, my God, I thought about that 10 years ago. Yes, you did, but you didn't do anything. So in this case, the converse is true. As people try to copy us, we need to make sure that we are the most effective and efficient alternative to the customer, not just the first one. So those are my three criteria that I think about and that I focus on. An underlying theme in most of my thinking and my discussions with my executive team is, do we have the right people in the right chair? If not, why not? And how do we get the best in the right chair? How do we make sure that we are managing our growth, whether it's on the economic sense or in the product sense or the delivery sense or the client retention sense? And how do we make sure that we are also staying competitive and leading the market instead of becoming a follower? So those are your three things that don't necessarily keep me awake at night, but they pervade my thoughts. Taking into account the higher scalability of the platform, how long does it currently take to onboard a new client? So it has actually gone down by 50%. DCAN exposed some of our interfaces. So we created a new project called ASI, APIs, Services, and Interfaces, which is purely focused on how do we make the platform even more configurable, not just by us, but by third parties and resellers. And that ASI module is the cornerstone for driving the greater configurability of the platform. So while we shrunk, so we are in the process of building other networks after we finish DCAN, and those networks are certainly running faster. But my goal is to bring it down not by 10, 20, 30%, but by 80, 90%. So I've set a goal for the company. In fact, I had a meeting this morning with all the development managers and business analyst leaders and architects and everybody to say, listen, in the next 100 days, I want to bring down the delivery cycle to less than half of where we stand today, which is already less than where we were 3 months ago. And they all understand and agree that that's a key competitive advantage we need to put in place. So the scalability of the platform is actually more about configurability, both by us and by third parties. That's where the focus is on this ASI project, and we've given ourselves 100 days to get there. Next question is, would you consider a sales director position in the near future? Absolutely. Dr. Hanekom has 2 sales director positions, both of which he's looking to fill in the next week or two. Jason already has brought in a very talented, very exciting senior executive, Eleanor, into the picture. You've already heard about her in the previous update, and I've had a chance to spend some time with her. and I'm just impressed and delighted to have her on the team. And I think we will be adding a bit more on the sales support side, meaning sales engineering and sales support function. And I'm actually moving Vadim more into that function moving forward, because somebody who really knows the platform inside out needs to be side by side with the sales team, helping them configure the right scope of the care network. So we are going to make some changes to make sure that the sales team is properly supported by the right solutioning team. And I do a lot of that today, but I cannot be the only one doing it. So I've asked Vadim to step into that role, and given his vast knowledge of what has been built, how it has been built, why it has been built, he can sit there and actually have meaningful conversations with the sales or with the client or both. The last question is a really interesting suggestion. Would we consider providing the ICO investors the ability to take part in the equity round with a minimum ticket size and with limited rights? Other startups have done the same. I think this is a good idea. I do not know the pros and cons of this from a legal perspective. I certainly do not want to do anything ever that makes SolveCare other than a utility token. And I will not take a risk around SolveCare being seen as an equity or a security of any kind, because we have worked very hard to stay on the far side of clean. We want to make sure that we do not venture into gray areas. But having said that, if our legal team thinks this is a good idea and can be legally supported, then we'll give it some thought. So I've sent on this request already to review by our legal counsel, external legal counsel, who are experts in securities matters. And if they feel this can be done in a manner that is absolutely clean, then yes. But if it is gray or fuzzy, then we won't go near that idea. So thank you for bringing it up to us. And I like the idea, but I want to make sure that it is actually a doable thing. The next question that I actually, I'm running out of questions here, but I do want to talk a little bit about something that I meant to talk about in my update. And that is the B2C launch strategy and where we're going to go launch first. So we spent a lot of time in Korea last year, and we have opened an office there, and we are now in the process of recruiting a network management team there. So I am quite certain, having spent my time with doctors and hospitals and consumers and the partners there, that we will launch our B2C network in Korea first. And we see Korea as a key test market for us. And we're very excited about the support we're getting from all parts of the blockchain community, the healthcare community, the Vidis is there. So long and short of it is that the B2C network that we are envisioning in conjunction with B2B network access from the same wallet, we see Korea as a key launch pad for us. We have obviously access to pharmaceutical companies there. We have access to hospital systems there, whom we have spent a lot of time on. And as soon as we can recover from the current travel restrictions and it's safe for us to re-engage, my plan is to be back in Korea and work with the appropriate partners to launch our B2C network in Korea. So that is a key element. And then from there, we expand out to the rest of Asia and rest of Europe and US. So you should continue to see us make significantly larger time, effort, and money investments in Korea because that's where we're going to launch our next B2C network. And there's one more question here that was just handed to me. This is related to the STR. Is the STR updated automatically? Well, it is updated at the end of the month when invoices and accounts payable, accounts receivable is reconciled. So it is updated automatically, but monthly. But there is a audit process before the STR transaction is allowed, because we want to make sure that there is these tokens that come into the STR are exactly in line with the token revenue, because STR is a piece of our revenue. That's what it is. And it has to be checked and verified before any amount of tokens can be deposited into the STR. And that's what we do. And I think this is a very good thing. I'm very pleased that we are doing this project, the STR project. I believe that we will build it up. It's kind of like dollar cost averaging. You invest certain percentage of your revenue into your retirement and you save it for rainy day. STR is equivalent of doing that, but from a corporate perspective, take piece of your revenue, put it in the STR, don't touch it unless you have to. And that I think is a very good strategy. So we are continuing to do that, and we will continue to do that, and you will continue to see it on the blockchain as STR grows. I just got another question related to the STR, which is are the clients that are buying tokens at full operational capacity? No, I think the majority of the operational capacity scaling wise is in front of us. There is no way you can think of DCAN or PRP as being fully operational to as much as they can be. Of course, the clients may buy not every day, every week, they may buy periodically, but end of the day, they have to pay us for the utility of the token, as a token, utility token for the utility of our platform. And we see significant growth ahead of us. The DCAN is nowhere close to fully launched in terms of the full scale, either whether it's by ACN or by all the other ACOs. Yes, it is very promising. Yes, it's growing, but you cannot call this full capacity. I think the capacity is ahead of us. So you can think of it as the base of the wave, not the peak of the wave. There is plenty more ahead of us in terms of number of tokens that our clients need to pay us. This is by no means the top line. This is still very early numbers here. And that's good, because while we're doing well, the opportunity ahead of us dwarfs what we are doing today. You always want to have a bigger opportunity, bigger revenue in front of you, and not be looking at the revenue in the rearview mirror going, well, that was a good year, but next year looks like crap. That's not where we are. We are very excited to be here and where we are today. And while we are being very cautious in the current geopolitical and macroeconomic and pandemic scenario, and we must be, it hasn't altered my overall plan for 2020. I know that we are out of time. I know you will have probably more questions, and having gone through the intense planning process over the first quarter, I'm a little bit more relieved and a little bit more comfortable with spending my time on other matters. So I hope to be back in front of you all far sooner than 3 months. And I appreciate your patience as we went through a number of year-end and beginning of the year priorities and challenges and focus areas. And it was really important to get 2020 off to a good start. So all in all, I'm pleased. I hope you are as well. Welcome your thoughts and questions and comments. But I will summarize this. We laid in the foundation for B2B last year, and we're going to reap the rewards this year. And we're laying in the foundation for B2C this year, which we'll hope to reap the rewards this year, but a huge opportunity as we launch them worldwide and we see millions of people start using Care Wallet, regardless of whether they have insurance or not. And that, I think, is a very meaningful impact that we should all be very proud of as we move through this journey. Stay with us. Don't worry about short-term ups and downs in the market. Don't worry about short-term ups and downs in terms of what's happening in the crypto space. These are all things that happen in every market. Crypto is just a bit more volatile. But in the end, if you do the right thing and you keep doing the right thing and you stay focused, results always come. And that's my mission. And I hope that you will stay with us and join us and help us achieve that mission. Thanks, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk to you soon.